Hello and welcome to the Growing Healthy Families podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Scott Haggerty. On this show, I interview the world's top health experts so that you can know with certainty what it takes to give your family a life of epic health and wellness.
As parents, we don't want to see our kids struggle. I knew that he had the potential, and I knew that something needed to be done.
It was hard. We would get frustrated. We didn't know how to deal with it. I was more emotional about it.
Sure that, we're here. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Hi, moms and dads. This is Dr. Scott Haggerty here with the Growing Healthy Families podcast. And I am so excited for you for this amazing episode. So I am here with Ted Klopp. Hey Ted, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dr. Scott?
Wonderful. And he is with Westminster Technologies. And so moms and dads, many of you that are listening to this have a child that has special needs. And so the reason that I brought Ted on today is because he is with a company called Westminster Technologies, and that is exactly what they focus in. So we're going to dig into some of the amazing technologies and services they have available so that if you're a mom or dad or a healthcare provider or an educator, you can learn about some amazing resources to help the kids that you're working with and really improve their quality of life. So first, Ted, thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
And why don't you tell us about yourself and a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I grew up in Cleveland. I'm from the west side of Cleveland, and spent some time in radio and television broadcasting before landing a job with my father-in-law. We were marketing general education products, and then eventually my wife decided to open Westminster, which has a focus, as you mentioned, on special education products. So it's a kind of a winding path to get here, but I'm here.
That is a very winding path. So now, obviously, we all have a backstory as to what drives us in our passion to create a company such as Westminster. So how did Westminster come to be? What's its backstory?
So there are family members from both my family and my wife's family who have special needs. And as we were talking about things and working in Gen Ed, we talked about how spectacular it might be if we could make a difference in special education. And we don't have teaching certificates, so what else can we do? We're not therapists. There's got to be something more. What if we could sell some products that would help therapists and teachers to better assist the students? So that's where Westminster came from.
That's amazing because there's such a need. And one of the really cool things is that the technologies that are coming out right now, many of which you guys represent, are so phenomenal in their ability to improve kids' quality of life. So Ted, as I was doing some research here into the product offerings and the cool services you guys have, I came across robots for autism.
Yep.
Now, I thought this was really cool. So for moms and dads and people who are watching this, can you explain to them what this is?
Sure. So if you've ever seen a child, whether they have special needs, whether they are on the spectrum or not, kids like technology. And there isn't much technology that's cooler in a kid's eyes than a robot. Then they've done research and they've found that kids on the spectrum relate to robots more than they do to people. Well, why is that? Well, the main reason is that a robot has no judgment and no nonverbal communication. Kids on the spectrum struggle in social situations with nonverbal communication. If I smile right now, and then we wait 5 seconds and I smile again, my smile will be different. And a kid on the spectrum can't handle that. Well, the robot's going to smile the same way every time. He's going to deliver that lesson the same way every time. So that therapist who's working with that student, and the student indicates, they want to hear the whatever lesson for the 8th, 9th, 10th time that afternoon, therapist is probably going to say, okay, Johnny, we'll do it again. The kid can pick up on that. Mm-hmm. The kid will notice that the robot does the lesson the same way, no matter how many times you trigger. So the robot, because of that, has the ability to unlock that connection to the student, and then, because of that, being repetitive, the student is able to learn from the robot. One question that we get frequently that I should mention, the robot does not replace teachers and therapists. The robot is a tool to be used by teachers and therapists. A teacher, a therapist, a paraprofessional, someone needs to be with the robot facilitating the lessons that are being given. And it's not just robot therapy. Yes, the robot does some of the therapy, but there are follow-up exercises. This particular robot has a curriculum that's more than 900 pages.
Wow.
So there's quite an extensive program. The success rates that we've seen, for example, the most recent study, a pilot study in South Carolina, more than 300 students, all on the spectrum, different school districts, different people administering with the robot. 90% of the students achieved what was considered a mastery of the social skills they worked on with the robot.
Wow.
And of those 90%, 70% achieved it through repetitive doing the lessons over and over again, which, as we know, kids on the spectrum need things repeated over and over again. So there are lots of other success stories with the robot, but that's kind of a quick way that he makes a difference.
Moms and dads, that's powerful. 90%. Very few things can make a claim of 90% in any kind of a study.
Well, the manufacturer would say this was a fabulous study. They would tell you that the robot will work with 60, maybe 70% of students on the spectrum. There is nothing that works with every student on the spectrum, unfortunately.
Very true.
The manufacturer, and obviously we, like to point that out. There will be students that he will not be effective with. Unfortunately, that's the case. But, we're finding a lot of success with him once a student is able to relate to him.
That's tremendous. And I noticed on your website, too, that you also offer online learning curriculum such as Ginger Tiger.
Yeah. So Ginger Tiger is it's a cloud-based learning platform, and it has a lot of basic touchscreen adapted programs, apps. It's a website. You have a subscription to it. And it could be targeting, crossing the midline, different things like that, again, you can do as many times as you need. And you can do it on any device. It's just a website. So you can do it on an iPad. You can do it on a touch screen. You can do it wherever you need to. And there have been a lot of successes using Ginger Tiger with special ed students and students who need occupational therapy, physical therapy, things like that. That's
tremendous. Ted, I know we've obviously focused on these two particular areas, but you have a lot of different other types of product offerings. Can you give our viewers an overview of some of the other types of different technologies and tools you have for both kids and schools?
Sure. So this will be a little bit of a quiz for me. I'll have to remember them. But we break them down on the website. If you go to our website, the products are based into different categories. And those categories include communication, sensory, accessibility, and there's a couple others that are, of course, escaping me at the moment. But if you go, low vision is another one. If you go on our website, things aren't categorized by what's best for my child with autism or what's best with my child for this particular need. They're based on different, do they need to communicate? Do they have a low vision issue? Things like that. Well, then look there and you'll find different products that can assist with that. If you want to look at all the products, there's the option to look at them all as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So mom and dads, make sure that you go and take a look at the website to see the amazing product offerings. I've spent quite a bit of time looking, and I mean, like a kid, I wanted to play with half of them. So make sure that you get on there and take a look. There's really, really cool listings from sensory toys to things to try and help with communications. There's some really, really great resources out there for you. But one of the things that I noticed, which I thought was very impressive, is that you've also gone into the importance of educating people. And I noticed that you actually have certification programs that are available for educators, practitioners, so that they can expand their ability to, number one, better understand and better serve the different populations of special needs kids that are out there. So can you talk a little bit more about that, Ted?
Sure. So there are a variety of certifications. That's another product category on the website. Certifications that an autism professional can get, a cognitive coach can get, things like that. And those are certifications that are, helpful in your career. Aside from that, Westminster offers professional development in many different categories, and all of that is designed and facilitated by a young lady who is a resident certified assistive technology professional. So she's much more of an expert than I am. That's what that means. She's much more of an expert than I am when it comes to that kind of thing. So these are trainings that, we have some AAC devices, and we're not sure, we need some training on how best to utilize them. We can design a training that can help you with that, or we might have something that we've already used that's been effective with some other school districts. We might say, oh, well, we have a training for that, and here you go. But if we need to, we can customize it as a district needs.
Speaking of customizing, one of the things I thought was really cool when I was doing my research is that I noticed that you have the assistive technology assessment available for each individual student. So now, moms and dads, if you've not seen this, a process like this before, I'm going to let Ted talk about this, but I think this is really cool because, as you and I both know, right, and moms and dads, no two children are alike. No two children's needs are going to be the same. So it's important they get the right match for what their needs are. So Ted, why don't you tell our viewers about this process and what that looks like?
Sure. So could be a mom or dad that encourages the district to do so. Could be a district, center, whomever. They need some advice on what product or products might be beneficial for this student here that has X and Y and Z are the challenges, and the goals are A, B, and C. And so Heather, our resident certified ATP, will, depending on the need, she could do it virtually, she could come to the school, but what she does is she goes into the classroom or observes the classroom virtually, observes the student in the learning environment, sees what the student is using, sees how they're doing now, and then makes some suggestions on techniques and products that might be beneficial. And she doesn't just recommend products that we sell, and that's something important that we like to emphasize. We try to carry a lot of different products, but there are some manufacturers that don't use, in the industry we're called a reseller. We resell products. There are some manufacturers who don't use resellers. It doesn't mean the product isn't any good, it just means they don't want someone like us to sell it. Excuse me. But their product could still be extremely beneficial. And so she will recommend whatever she thinks is appropriate for that student, whether we sell it or not.
Now on your website, you lay it out in a 3-step process. So can you take everybody through what the 3 steps are in your assessment process?
So obviously there's the initial contact, there's the observation, which we talked about, and then most importantly, the report that comes at the end. The report will have details about what the student, what was observed from the student, how they're learning, what their challenges are, and then details about the product or products that are recommended and why they're recommended. What might you expect? So if you're going to buy this communication product, what might we expect to see from this student if they use this wonderful product over here? Things like that. So contact, assessment, report, and then I guess maybe there's a fourth one, there are a set number of follow-ups with Heather. How's the student doing? Any modifications? Any other suggestions that we need to make? And actually, as we're taping this, she's on her way to New York to do a couple tomorrow. She'll be observing a couple students in the New York area, so she is quite the traveler.
I bet she is. That's a lot of work that she has to put in to really make sure they're customizing the programs for each one of these kids.
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I wanted to dig into, which I thought was really amazing, is obviously there can be a massive learning curve into implementing technologies and strategies into whether it's a school setting or a clinical setting. I noticed in doing my research that you have a train the trainer program to make it easier for the products or services to be rolled out in institutions. Can you talk a little bit more about that, Ted?
Sure. So, we often talk about how, well, do we really want to train the trainer? Because then we don't get to make the money on the training. But there's a need for it, so we've implemented it. So, as you said, we can train someone at the district, excuse me, to, for example, do assessments. You have a group of therapists, they're interested in doing assessments, but they don't know how. Heather will come out, it's an intense 3-day learning program, and by the end of the 3rd day, they're in a school, in a classroom, observing a student and coming up with what the assessments are, and then Heather gives a, they doing this correctly, and then, how does her observation compare to what these people have just gone through this process? Excuse me. How are their assessments comparing to hers? And she coaches them through that, and then, like with the other professional development that we offer, there are follow-ups. So we don't just, at the end of the session, okay, good luck, see you later, and if you need a product, go to our website. That's not how it works. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Moms and dads, I hope that, in listening to this, you realize that there's some really amazing resources that are available to help your child with whatever their struggles are, whether it's autism or sensory or focus and attention. There's a lot of great resources out there, and the goal of doing things like this is to connect. Because, if you're not aware and there's blind spots and things that you can do to improve your quality of life, of course, that's what every mom and dad wants to do, right, Ted?
Right, absolutely. Yes, as you know.
Yes, absolutely. And so the goal of doing this is to make sure that we create connection points for you. So if you are a healthcare provider, an educator, a mom and dad that's looking for resources to try and help to improve your child or your school or your healthcare setting, what I want you to do is I want you to get involved and get in touch with the folks over at Westminster Technology. And Ted, so what are the best ways if somebody wants to learn more? Where should they contact you? How should they go through the process of learning more about what is available?
So the best way to learn about everything would be to go to www.westminstertech.com, and you'll find our entire website there, our programs, our training programs, our products, everything is there. That's probably best, and when you go there, there are forms you can fill out to contact us. There's there's email addresses, our phone numbers on there as well. We have Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So we're social too, and there are a variety of ways to get in touch with us. If you want to learn everything you can about our company, westminstertech.com would be the best place to start.
And moms and dads, we'll make sure we have all of their contact information published in the show notes. Website, www.westminstertech.com. Go to the website, check it out, get in touch with them, find out all the great resources they have available, and we'll make sure we also have all of the direct links to their social media so you can follow them. Find out what's coming up, find out all the great products, learn about their services, and make sure that if this is something that really has sparked an interest for you, then start taking action, get involved, get in touch with Westminster Tech. And mom and dad, if you're someone who thinks this might be great for your child, always remember something. You have the ability to start the conversation with your healthcare provider or with the school and say, hey, listen, this might be the right resource for my child. So make sure that if this is something that you see something that could be beneficial, talk to the administration and recommend that they then get in contact with the folks over at Westminster Tech to start the process. Because helping our kids is a team effort, as we all know. And sometimes it takes moms and dads getting involved and saying, these are the right things for my child. Right? If you've got a child with autism and you've got that, this amazing robots for autism, this could really be something that could improve your child's quality of life. You may need to start that process and say, hey, listen, we're willing to get involved and help to try and make these things a reality for us. So, Ted, I thank you so much for your time. This was great.
Thank you.
So we'll have to get you back out here again so we can talk more about the robots for autism. I want to play with it.
Okay, he's fun.
All right, sounds good. And moms and dads, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to our show, Growing Healthy Families, make sure you subscribe. If you have moms and dads, friends and loved ones that would benefit from this, share this link with them. If you like this episode, also give us a like and a review on iTunes and let us know. And if there's questions, concerns, comments, things like that you'd like to know more about, put them down here and we'll make sure that we get another episode. And if there's things you want to ask Ted, make sure you go and visit them at westminstertech.com. This is Dr. Scott and Ted Klopp. God bless you guys. Be elite. Thank you for listening to the Growing Healthy Families podcast, the world's #1 source for health education. Make sure to go to iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a review. Make sure to follow us on social media at the links listed in the show notes, and let us know what area of health you are struggling with so we can get you and your family on the road to epic health.